Hey, you guys! I'm going to talk to you today about men and money and how to have more men and more money. So, I am Lisa Rose. I am a dating and relating coach. I'm the founder of Deeper Love, Better Sex. And I really like that tagline. I was thinking about, the dating, getting good at dating is one series of steps. The first one is being really dateable, which usually means clearing up some stuff so that you show up on your dates as somebody who's super dateable, really relaxed, really open, really receptive. And then the relating part is where you go from there so that the relationship continues to build and you foster connection and you grow intimacy and you can work out conflicts in a way that feels really easy and really fun. So as you pop on, please let me know you're here by saying hello. So I've been thinking about how there's this saying that the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything, and I don't know that I have complete buy-in to that. But here's what I do know. Back a long time ago, when I had some really, really limiting beliefs about men, especially around the lack of good men, so that the kind of real in my mind, the track was things like, how come she gets to have that and I don't? And how come I've been waiting, fill in the blank, and I still don't have my guy? And how come I'm going to another wedding and it's not mine? It was like all around observing and giving my attention to lack and really believing in the lack of good men. So as you can imagine, until I cleared that up, until I healed that, that's exactly what kept getting reinforced in my world. I remember just like having this feeling of looking around at friends and at just like people at cafes and seeing all these couples and really feeling like there was something for them that just wasn't available for me. And I didn't really know why. A lot of it obviously had to do with my belief system. So that sense of lack, it was like this filter through which I saw everything, the filter through which I perceived reality. And of course, since that was the filter I was looking through, that was the only reality that I could perceive. So if you've ever done this, collecting evidence to support your belief, put a 1 or something in the comments. It's just how we're wired as humans. It's just what we do until we learn to do something different. So there were two ways that was a very self-reinforcing system. One is it was the belief that I was operating from. So it's very hard to have an experience that's in direct opposition to a belief that we hold. And equally important is that I was in this kind of like lack consciousness. So lack consciousness, whether I'm in lack about the money I'm making, the abundance of good men or clients or anything, it's not a consciousness that feels really good. It doesn't feel uplifting and joyful and delightful, all of which are energies of attraction and magnification. So even though it was only happening in one area, it spilled over and affected my sense of well-being and my sense of my ability to manifest in other areas as well. So if you are popping on, please let me know by saying hello. So I went through a process many years ago where I really cleaned up that stuff. And it was about maybe like a 6 or 9 month process. I was working with somebody a lot of that time. I was really digging around into the underbelly of my belief systems. And I really was able to see how that belief system kept playing out. But I also got to experience that as I started to change my beliefs, almost immediately I started to have a new experience. So for me, that meant higher quality men that I was much more interested in building something with. Not only did I attract them, but they stuck around. And for the first time I had like a really satisfying long-term partnership that I didn't feel like I threw a wrench in all the time, or I messed up because I didn't think I deserved it, or I didn't think he'd stick around, or there was some other way that I was, kind of like messing with a good thing that was all related to a lack consciousness, lack of my own believability that that was possible for me. So how this all translates into more men and more money is like this. The first part is that it kind of gave me a really tangible experience of the power of really looking at and exploring and excavating and releasing the beliefs that stand in the way between my desired outcome and that outcome being realized. So what I know very clearly is that if I have a desired outcome and I'm doing all the right things and it's not appearing, there's something in the way. And that's actually that's a really rich exploration. Like in my world, that's a good thing because I've come to really enjoy and appreciate and value that exploration. And now that I have ways to really kind of like get underneath, the belief system so that I don't just have to play them out, I feel like I kind of have a formula. And a couple of years ago, as my business was growing, I don't know any entrepreneur who can avoid looking at their money stuff, because when you run a business and you want clients and you want income, there's going to be some money stuff to address. And the way that this kind of carried over is there was really like two parts to it. The first one was recognizing that there was a gap between my desired outcome and what was actually happening. And for me, it's not always enough to just think about things differently, like to think a better thought or to use my creativity and my imagination to kind of create through my imagination, to create through my desires. It's not always enough for me to like just go into what I desire. That's a really powerful practice, and it's definitely part of it. But the other part that I have found to be equally important is going into the muck, going into the places that are not in agreement with my desire. Memories, experiences from early childhood, beliefs that got cemented through those experiences. And really, the magical thing about this is that all of it is up for grabs and all of it can be changed. And over the last few years, I've done like a pretty significant makeover. So I discovered some of the beliefs that I didn't even know that I had that were operating around money and around my income potential and around what it meant to receive. And as I have cleared that out, like the way it happened with my change of belief around men, I keep having a much greater experience. It's more fun because it more matches the outcome that I want. So like for me, what that means is more and more ease around generating income, working with really great clients, getting ideas for where I want to go next in my business, implementing those ideas, having people say yes to those ideas. When I first started out, it took a while to get that kind of traction. And it was very much for, a very similar reason is I would kind of start to go down the road and then I would meet up with my limiting beliefs, which was often not a conscious process, and I would lose some traction. So for me, like the sort of magic formula for getting through anything where I feel a roadblock in my psyche and in manifesting my desires is just be really willing to get into the grit of whatever is underneath that. And, when I work with my clients and what I do with myself, I have some really powerful writing practices. I have some ways of kind of working with the different parts of myself, because by no means are all the parts of ourselves always in alignment. And through doing that, it's like it turns what is this sort of bumpy, choppy runway into just a very smooth glide where things get to just kind of take off. So I can't see who's here, and I always like knowing who's here. So please pop something in the comments in case I can't see that you're here. So that's really the process. That's how it works. And it works for men. It works for money. I think it works for anything that you might be trying to manifest. I found this process to be so much more powerful when I had support, because sometimes the beliefs that are hanging out, they're sticky and they're sneaky, and I might be so used to thinking them that I can't really even catch, oh, That's what's going on in my world right now. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so let's give that some attention and see how I can actually get to a thought that feels better because it's more in alignment with how I want to feel and the result I want to create. So here's what I'm going to do. I offered this a couple months ago. The spots went really quick and I just had an intuition. I think there's some of you out there who are on the fence and maybe want to get a little taste for what it's like to work with me, but even more than that, what it's like to have a breakthrough. What it's like to experience living in one reality that has a certain set of potential and a certain set of limitations, and to leave that reality and move into a reality where there's so much more possibility, where you're so much living what you want to be living, dating an amazing man, knowing how to sustain that relationship, not getting stuck in the places that you used to just sort of, fall apart or get confused or get discouraged. So I want to give you a taste of that. And I've created, it's a 50-minute session. I'm just calling it a love makeover. We will pop on a call together. You probably know the area that you're feeling the most stuck. You may not know what you need to do and what's really going to unravel that stuckness. So when I work with clients, I don't just throw out a bunch of ideas because you could get that from a book, but we're actually going to do some really powerful work around processing and releasing whatever belief is between you and your desire in your love life. Maybe you're not meeting anybody online and you can't figure out why. Maybe everybody you meet is ghosting you. Maybe you go out on dates, but they don't lead to second dates. Maybe a guy really likes you and you freak out, right? It's because there's some material there. So if you'd like to do that, I put the link in the section above. You just follow that link. It'll take you to my PayPal. It's $97. It's 50 minutes. It's a total bargain. And I'm just going to do that for 2 of you, so whoever jumps on it first. In the meantime, if you're catching the replay, let me know if you have any questions, comments. Where do you think might be kind of the snag for you in your manifestation and in your clear path, your clear runway path right now? And if there's any way that I can support you to clear that path, just give me a shout. All right, you guys, have an awesome day. Ciao.